Anyone who's been the victim in a failed marriage knows the drill. You don't just endlessly pick apart your own flaws. You start shouldering the blame for everything. Being pushed overboard, trapped in an elevator, even getting your bones broken by kidnappers, your first thought is always, was I being too much trouble? Did I annoy her? Even in the moment the doctor pronounced my daughter gone, my first instinct wasn't to blame Olivia, but to think if I had just held on a few more minutes, maybe things would be different. But what finally broke me out of that mental prison was seeing my brother, Ethan, turn to Jenny outside City Hall and say, "I've had enough of this life with you. From now on, I'm walking my own path." In that instant, I realized it was never about us not being good enough for them. It was that they were never good enough for us, because the worst part of a relationship isn't being unloved, it's losing every last shred of basic respect. My brother and I both married into the Richardson family, becoming the husbands who joined their clan. I married the eldest daughter, a medical genius with unparalleled skills. He married the younger daughter, one of the hottest A-list actresses in the business. On our third wedding anniversary, our daughter had a sudden, severe asthma attack. Meanwhile, my wife was busy helping her first love deliver a litter of kittens. That night, the cat gave birth to a healthy litter, but my child closed her eyes forever. I looked over at my brother, Ethan, who had stayed with me at the hospital all night. "Ethan, I want a divorce." He patted my shoulder. "I've got you back. If you're leaving, so am I. Let those two manipulative women and that scumbag be locked together and make each other miserable for the rest of their lives." The moment the divorce papers were served, both of them completely fell apart, instantly filled with a frantic regret. And just as the news got out, I received the call I was expecting. It was Olivia calling to rake me over the coals. "Lucas, can you stop being so ridiculous? How petty can you be, trying to tie me down like this for the rest of our lives?" Before I even had a chance to speak, her impatient complaints came firing at me one after another. "I already told you, Jerry's cat was having a difficult labor. That cat is his whole world. We're talking about several little lives here. How can you not have an ounce of compassion? Do you have no sense of what's important? Did you really have to pick this moment to get jealous and throw a fit?" Listening to her ice-cold voice, I let out a long sigh. My dear wife, Olivia, had been completely off the grid for a full week and was only now deigning to return my call. Last night, I held our daughter in my arms as her face turned blue, and I called Olivia 18 times. She heartlessly declined every single call. All she sent was a single, cold iMessage with just a few words. "Busy. What is it?" I sent her a tearful voice message, my voice shaking so badly I could barely speak, calling her my wife. "Something happened. It's our daughter. She had a massive asthma attack, and she's in the emergency room right now. You have to come. The chief of surgery said that if you operate, she has a real chance." Olivia didn't even bother to listen to the voice note. She just shot back an annoyed text. "Can't you handle a small family issue on your own? Why do you always have to bother me? Jerry is in the middle of delivering his cat's kittens. Is anything more important than those little lives right now?" She almost never listened to my voice messages, and she barely glanced at my texts. But she had all the patience in the world to listen to her first love, Jerry, go on and on about that damn cat. And me? I've been severely claustrophobic my whole life. The day I got stuck in an elevator for 2 hours and called her for help, I was just bothering her. But of course, how could I ever compete with Jerry? Olivia once told me to my face that I wasn't worth a single hair on Jerry's head. It was only natural, then, that our child couldn't possibly be more important than the precious cat he doted on. My brother Ethan grabbed the phone from my hand and yelled into it, "Olivia, Chloe is just a year old. If you have a single shred of humanity in you, get to the hospital and see her right now." Of course, Olivia didn't come rushing to the hospital. From the very beginning, she never believed a word I said. Her voice on the other end was dripping with scorn. "Put Ethan on the phone. If you want to throw a tantrum, let him. Why is he dragging you into this? He's just faking it, isn't he? Trying to trick me into running back to him." My brother was so furious he could barely breathe. He was about to fire back, but she'd already hung up. He tried calling right back, but it went straight to a cold, automated voice. the user's phone was off. Ethan was so angry his eyes were red. He shoved the phone back at me, seething. Is she even human? A fine daughter raised by the Richardsons, indeed. I managed a weak, pale smile and shook my head. Ethan, just let it go. Even if she came now, it would be too late. All we can do is hope Chloe is strong enough to make it through. The words had barely left my mouth when the green light above the operating room door went dark. A doctor emerged, pulling off his mask, and slowly shook his head. I'm so sorry. We did everything we could. They wheeled her out. My daughter, just over a year old, her tiny body no longer breathing. Only a month ago, she had learned to call me Daddy. Just yesterday, she was laughing in my arms. A crushing sense of absurdity and a grief so sharp it felt like I was being torn apart washed over me. My whole world collapsed. I lunged forward, clutching my daughter's cold, small body, and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. After a long, long time, I finally managed to take a ragged breath that tasted metallic, and a bitter smile twisted my lips. Maybe it's for the best. It was her bad luck getting parents like us. I just hope that in her next life, she finds a better family. I asked Ethan to call a lawyer for me and get the divorce papers drawn up. Ethan and I grew up together. We're as close as brothers can be. We married into the Richardson family at the same time, thinking we could at least watch each other's backs. We thought we could weather any storm together. Who would have guessed we'd end up getting married on the same day and divorced on the same day? I suppose that's its own kind of destiny. After the papers were sent, Olivia didn't even glance at them. The first call came from my brother's wife, Jenny. She immediately laid into Ethan. Are you really trying to divorce me over those rumors again? I told you, you're overthinking things. Can't you be reasonable? I've explained it 1,000 times. We're just playing up our on-screen chemistry for publicity. If you're determined to twist it into something else, what am I supposed to do? The two of them really were sisters. They had the exact same talent for twisting the knife. Ethan had no desire to speak with her, and Jenny finally lost her patience. Okay, I'm done. I have to get back to filming. Do whatever you want. If you want a divorce, fine. I don't care. On the TV, the entertainment news was still running a story about Jenny and some other actor. They were wearing obviously coordinated outfits. If you looked closely, even their accessories were matching. Facing the cameras, the actor, Ryan, gave Jenny a meaningful smile, openly expressing his admiration. Jenny's a fascinating person. We have amazing chemistry, both on and off the set. In life and at work, she's exactly my ideal type. Jenny, playing the part of a smitten young woman, leaned against him and said, Ryan is so thoughtful. Whoever gets to be his girlfriend will be a very lucky woman. For Jenny, rumors like these were nothing. As a top-tier celebrity, ever since she and Ethan got married, the tabloids were constantly publishing photos of her with various actors and models, checking into hotels, dancing closely, and partying all night at clubs. Every time she started a new project, she had to drum up publicity by faking an on-screen romance with her co-star. It was part of her brand. And Ethan wasn't allowed to ask why. If he did, he was holding back her career or not being supportive of her work. When she was buried in scandals, it was Ethan who stayed up all night, working with her PR team to get negative stories taken down and combat online trolls. It was Ethan who used every contact and resource he had to promote her new movies, build connections, and create buzz. But in Jenny's eyes, Ethan was just a pathetic, useless man who sat at home, fell apart, and got jealous. After she hung up, Ethan clutched his phone so hard his knuckles went white. He took a deep, shaky breath and looked at me, his eyes rimmed with red. Lucas, let's just do it. Let's get divorced. I can't take this anymore. He patted my shoulder, as if steeling himself. So what if we do? It's better than dragging this out forever. If we stay, we'll both end up losing our minds. It's going to hurt, but we'll still have each other. We can pull each other through this. I nodded, managing a bitter smile. Okay. After the funeral for my daughter, I texted Olivia the time and location to meet at City Hall to file the papers. For hours, there was no reply. The next day, I finally got a text from her. One of Jerry's newborn kittens is having intestinal issues. We're taking it to a specialist in the next city. We'll be back in 3 days. I replied, okay, and then added, Then we'll file for divorce in 3 days. I'm free. It was only then that she seemed to notice the word divorce. Her tone was as impatient as ever. Seriously, that's enough. Lucas, you never used to be this unreasonable. I suggest you stop this. What's the point of constantly threatening to divorce me? I had spoiled Olivia to the point where she felt untouchable. Every time I reached my breaking point and resolved to leave her for good, I'd get us all the way to the doors of City Hall, only to lose my nerve at the last second and shamefully go back to trying to win her over. I kept lying to myself, telling myself that she did care about me, that there was still some love there. I thought that as long as we were married, she would eventually come around and truly see me. I never realized that every time I swallowed my pride to buy our marriage a little more time, she just saw it as me making a scene again. She even saw this, our actual divorce, as just another threat, another move in a game to control her. I was done explaining myself. I just sent a simple text. 3 days from now, 10 a.m. See you at City Hall. By the way, Ethan and Jenny are filing their papers the same day. Don't be late and don't bail. Her reply was a cold laugh. Is this how you behave as a brother-in-law? Even now, she was trying to use her Richardson family status to put me in my place. It's bad enough that you're causing trouble, but you have to drag Ethan's family into it? First you lied to me about our child. Now you're convincing him to get a divorce? You're really going all in this time. What's next? Are you going to hire someone to beat you up and then use that to threaten me into apologizing? The last time she was talking about was 2 months ago at a party on a luxury yacht. I didn't know at the time that the man she brought as her date was her first love, Jerry. I was actually happy to go with her when we were invited. You can imagine how that went. Olivia spent the entire night glued to Jerry's side, ignoring me completely and making me look like a fool in front of everyone. Furious, I went out on deck to drink by myself and get away from the crowd. Next thing I knew, someone pushed me overboard. I almost drowned. They finally pulled me out and rushed me to the hospital, but Olivia was convinced I'd faked the whole thing. She stood over my hospital bed, looking down at me with pure disgust. You're such a good actor, always playing the victim. Are you trying to make everyone think this accident was my fault because I wasn't looking after you? I didn't fight back or scream at her. After losing my daughter, I just didn't have the energy to argue anymore. I guess when you hurt enough to go numb, you can't even feel the pain itself. I told her calmly, Olivia, this time, I'm really letting you go. I hope you get exactly what you want. Be with your first love and never look back. Olivia showed up with Jerry. The moment the car door opened, he slung a possessive arm around her shoulder. He was a classmate of hers from college. Word was they were deeply in love and almost got married. But Olivia's parents refused to let him marry into the family and put a stop to it. Olivia and Jerry broke up over it, and she was a wreck for a long time, just going through the motions. That's when she met me. Around that same time, my brother Ethan was getting ready to marry into the Richardson family as the husband of the younger daughter. He complained to me that marrying into a family like that was a minefield, and it would be hard for us to hang out like we used to. Then he said, it would be awesome if we could both marry in. And by then, I'd already fallen for Olivia at first sight. So I just said, how hard could it be? Watch me win her over. I never actually thought it would work, but she agreed to marry me. Only later did I realize she hadn't fallen for me at all. Since she couldn't marry her first love, it didn't matter who she ended up with. When she saw me, her eyes lingered for a second before she narrowed them and said coldly, weren't you the one demanding a divorce? Let's go. But when I turned without a moment's hesitation and started walking toward the entrance of City Hall, she grabbed my arm. With her head down and her eyes squeezed shut in pain, she gritted her teeth. Lucas, I know you're just throwing a fit. I'm giving you one more chance. Apologize to me, then apologize to Jerry, and we can pretend none of this ever happened. I laughed coldly. Miss Richardson, what do you think you're doing? I yanked my arm free. We agreed on this divorce. You said yes. Are you backing out now? Do you think this is some kind of childish game? Stop wasting time. Let's go sign the papers. By the time Olivia and I finished the incredibly streamlined divorce process and held the dissolution papers, she still looked completely stunned. Her eyes were locked on me, searching, as if she expected me to suddenly turn around, admit I was wrong, and beg her to take me back like I always did. But I never gave her another glance. It wasn't until we were outside the doors of City Hall that my body, which had been running on fumes, finally gave out, and I nearly fell. Maybe out of pure reflex, Olivia reached out to steady me. Her eyes scanned my face, and then she let out a cold laugh. A little late to start playing the victim now, don't you think? Ethan couldn't stand it anymore. He shoved her aside and held me up himself. Olivia, are you blind? Look at his face. In the 3 days since Chloe died, he hasn't slept for a second. Olivia's brow furrowed, her eyes finally focusing on my face, but she still looked disbelieving. You're lying to me, she said, her voice uncertain. I looked up at her and gave a cold smile. Doctor, what answer are you hoping for? The truth or a lie? I glanced over at Jerry, still waiting by the car, and added softly, then again, with your new man right here, how important could my daughter really be to you? Olivia's eyes widened, as if something had just dawned on her. She completely lost it, screaming at me, Lucas, I am not playing games. Tell me Chloe is okay. She has to be okay, right? You've hidden her somewhere, haven't you? I looked at her, so confused and frantic, and asked flatly, why are you getting so worked up now? In your world, our daughter's life wasn't worth as much as one of Jerry's kittens. A person like that has no right to pretend she has a maternal bone in her body. Seeing the stunned look on her face, I let out a mocking laugh. It's a shame. If you had just come home when I called, maybe our daughter would still be alive. But now, you don't even have the luxury of grieving for her. It took a long moment for my words to sink in. As a medical expert, her first instinct was to finally open the lab reports I'd sent her, the very same ones she had dismissed as fakes. She finally read them, then played the voice messages from that night, and then opened the image of our daughter's death certificate. Within seconds, all the color drained from her face. Jerry saw things were going south and reached for her. Olivia, there's no point now. Before he could finish, Olivia violently threw his hand off, so forcefully that even he was shocked. As if she needed to see it for herself, she scrambled into the car and sped off toward the hospital. And I just stood there, watching her go, feeling nothing but cold, weary exhaustion. I turned to Jerry, my voice calm and empty. You went to all this trouble, scheming to come watch the show, and she just abandoned you here. Olivia won't be back for a while. You'd better call a cab, Mr. Sullivan. Jerry's face was dark with resentment as he sneered. You think she cares about you? She cares about the kid. Even a monster loves its own child. A woman always has some attachment to her own flesh and blood. If Chloe were still alive, you might have stood a chance against me. Too bad. Before he could finish, I snapped. I hit him hard right in the face. Chloe's death was my breaking point, a line that could never be crossed. Before we went home, Ethan and I stopped by the cemetery to leave flowers on our daughter's small gravestone. While we were there, he got a call from Jenny. You wanted a divorce, right? Get over here now. I have a press event later. You have 15 minutes. The whole time, right up until the papers were signed, Jenny didn't even look at Ethan. She was terrified of being recognized, hiding behind a mask and huge sunglasses. The second she stepped out of City Hall, she jumped into a black SUV and was gone. Ethan stood on the curb, just staring after the vehicle. I walked over and put a hand on his shoulder. It's okay, man. This will pass. He looked at me and managed a weak smile. It'll pass. You know, you could say we have a special kind of fate. We always used to joke as kids, we don't have to be born on the same day. But we can die on the same day. He continued, well, we didn't die on the same day, but we got married and divorced on the same day. I guess that counts for something. Both marriages have been arranged by our families anyway. This time, we filed for divorce without telling anyone. And of course, our parents were furious. Neither of us wanted to listen to the lectures, so we decided to just drop off the map for a while instead of going home. Ethan and I had already rented a small house out in the suburbs, planning to lay low there for a bit and figure out what to do next. That night, we just hung out at the house, eating, drinking, watching movies, and messing around until late. At some point, Ethan got a long text from Jenny. I hope you can get over this soon. It was just a little fight. We both had the same reaction to that. Ethan just texted back, "Are you insane? We're divorced. You call that a little fight?" Jenny's reply was dripping with contempt. "You've pulled stunts like this before. You think I take you seriously? I only agreed to the divorce to give you a chance to cool off and think about your issues. Maybe you'll learn to be more considerate of me and my career. I already told your parents we're just temporarily separated. A trial period. Once you've come to your senses, we can go get remarried." Jenny was convinced Ethan would never leave her. She was a huge star, every guy's dream girl, the center of attention everywhere she went. When our families arranged the marriage, she acted like he was the luckiest guy in the world, like he'd won the lottery. And at first, Ethan really was dazzled by his superstar wife. He felt like the luckiest man alive to have landed her, which is why he agreed to marry into her family. But after years of them tearing each other apart, any affection he'd had for her was long gone. He didn't bother replying. He just blocked her number and all her social media accounts. For Jenny, this was a direct assault on her pride and her appeal, and the superstar absolutely lost it. A few minutes after Ethan blocked her, his phone rang. It was Jenny's agent. "Ethan, did you say something to our girl? She's having a complete meltdown. Look, I'm not going to get into it, but she really does care about you. You know how this business is. Keeping your marriage a secret was her way of protecting you. You need to be more understanding." Ethan had heard that same speech 100 times over the last 3 years. He was immune to it. He just scoffed. And I suppose her getting photographed, checking into hotels with other actors was also for my protection. The agent was speechless. Ethan continued, "You can tell her that this time, I'm serious. It's over. And tell her not to contact me again for any reason. Frankly, I couldn't care less if my ex-wife is living or dead." With that, he hung up and blocked the agent's number too. While Jenny's PR team was scrambling to do damage control, the star herself posted on Twitter. The post was just 2 words: "He's gone." The picture was a close-up of their wedding rings from a beach trip they'd taken. The cryptic post immediately sent the media and her fans into a frenzy. Is she getting married? Whose ring is that? Shut up. There's no way she's married. It's obviously just an artistic photo from a shoot. Only Ethan and I knew what she was doing. She was waiting for him to regret his decision and come crawling back to her. But this time, no one was going to indulge her little games. I ran into Olivia when I was at the hospital for a follow-up appointment. She looked haggard. The woman who was always so perfectly put together hadn't even brushed her hair. Dark circles hung under her eyes, a clear sign she hadn't been sleeping. When she saw me, she froze for a second, then rushed over as if I were a lifeline, grabbing my wrist. "Lucas, have you seen any of the messages I've sent you?" She had sent me a lot of messages, but I hadn't opened a single one. I didn't listen to the voice notes or read the texts. I had no interest. Just like she never bothered with my messages before, now it was my turn to ignore hers. "What do you want?" I asked coldly. Olivia's voice was barely a whisper, her whole demeanor humbled. I just didn't realize. Chloe was my own daughter. How could I not love her? Just a few days ago, she was lying beside me, calling me mama. Her voice started to shake. I'm in so much pain. I'm so sorry." To her, and to you. She clutched my hand, her posture almost pathetic. "Lucas, I know you're hurting too. This is all my fault. I'm so sorry. I want a chance to make it right. Please, can you forgive me? We're still young. We can have another child." I laugh coldly and pull my hand away. "Doctor, what are you trying to say? Have another child just so she can suffer, too? Besides, we're divorced. Who said anything about having kids? Who would want to have a child with you?" Olivia looked up, her eyes filled with pain and panic, but she forced herself to stay calm. "Okay, let's not talk about that. A colleague told me you were so distraught when they brought Chloe out that you collapsed. Let me take you to get a full workup." She reached for the chart in my hand, but I turned away. "No need," I said coldly. "I already have an appointment with my doctor. It would be a breach of protocol for you to treat another physician's patient, wouldn't it, doctor?" Just then, a door down the hall creaked open and Jerry stumbled out, holding his head. "Olivia," he whined, "my head is killing me. Can you come take a look?" Jerry was always like this. Anytime I had 2 seconds alone with Olivia, he would magically appear and interfere. When I was in the hospital for an appendectomy, Olivia finally stopped by my room, and he immediately fainted from low blood sugar and called her, begging her to come take care of him. While I was writhing in pain in a hospital bed, he was posting cutesy pictures on Instagram of Olivia cooking for him and feeding him his medicine. Another time, I was kidnapped on an overseas trip, and just as Olivia was about to start negotiations, he found a threatening note on his doorstep and insisted someone was after him, refusing to let Olivia leave his side until he felt safe. While I was being beaten half to death by my captors, he was posting selfies of himself snuggled in Olivia's arms. His little provocations used to tear me up inside. Now, I just see it as entertainment. I raised an eyebrow at Olivia. He's calling for you. You better go take care of him. He's such a delicate flower, after all. I was about to walk away to find my doctor, but she grabbed my arm again. When are you done? She whispered. I'll wait for you downstairs. I need to talk to you. After my appointment, I left the building and headed straight for my car, but she cornered me in the parking garage. She looked at me with this incredibly sincere expression and told me that she really had married me because she loved me. She admitted she'd thought about getting back with Jerry, but only because his family wasn't well off and he was so frail and sickly. In her mind, he was a delicate flower who needed to be protected, and taking care of him was just her way of showing love through pity. But after she met me, she said she realized that pity and love are two completely different things. It was because she felt sorry for Jerry that she couldn't face me honestly, so she overcompensated by being overly good to him to make up for her own feelings of guilt. I just raised an eyebrow. And what exactly do you want me to say to that? Oh, darling, you truly love me. You repressed your feelings for me just to take care of another man. You poor thing, you've suffered so much. I let out a bitter laugh. You don't think to turn the wheel until the car has already hit the tree. You don't think to offer a scrap of love until the child is already gone. Who are you performing this grand, romantic tragedy for? Where were you when it actually mattered? Our daughter's life stood between us. When I got home, I saw that Ethan and Jenny were trending on Twitter. Someone had recognized them at City Hall the day they filed for divorce. Instantly, social media was flooded with posts. OMG, Jenny was secretly married? I thought they were there to get a marriage license, not a divorce. Isn't that the rich heir she was rumored to be with a while back? Ethan and Jenny had been the subject of rumors before. They were actually married, after all, and no matter how careful they were, the paparazzi always managed to catch something. But Jenny had always vehemently denied being married, even claiming that Ethan was just a superfan. Of course, her fan base refused to believe it, and they came out in droves to shut the rumors down. Impossible. Our queen has always been single. Whoever started this rumor is getting a letter from her lawyer. She's been single her whole life, and you're just going to invent a husband and a divorce for her? Get real. Some eagle-eyed fans recognized Ethan and flooded his social media. Dude, you're the most annoying fan ever. Can you stop causing trouble for her? First you were accidentally running into her everywhere for clout, and now you're hiring actors to fake a marriage and divorce just to live out your fantasy? You're a disgusting, delusional stalker. My girl is so unlucky to have a creep like you obsessed with her. This wasn't the first time her fans had dogpiled Ethan online. In the past, to avoid hurting Jenny's career, he always just took the abuse and never said a word. And Jenny would just watch it all happen, never once stepping in to defend him. But this time was different. Jenny posted on Twitter herself, publicly admitting she'd been married for years and confirming Ethan's identity. Thank you all for your continued support. I want to officially announce that I am, in fact, married. My husband is Ethan Miller. He's a private citizen, and I hope you will all respect his privacy. After the divorce, Jenny waited for Ethan to come crawling back, full of regret, just like he always did. But she quickly realized she was completely blocked. She waited and waited, but her name never reappeared in his contacts. Now, Jenny started to panic. She was the one proactively revealing Ethan's identity to the world. But as they say, an apology that comes too late is worse than useless. The man she was trying to win back no longer needed the title of Mr. Jenny Richardson. He posted his own response online. Thank you for the concern. I was married to Miss Richardson, but we are now divorced. I'm a private person and would appreciate it if my privacy was respected. Please let us both move on." When she saw the words "move on," Jenny completely lost it. That night, she showed up at our front door, dressed to the nines and holding a massive bouquet of roses. The paparazzi following her started a live stream right there on the street. Unbelievable. When have you ever seen Jenny chase after a man like this? This Ethan Miller must be someone special. Her agency immediately went into spin mode, feeding the public a narrative about a young couple's quarrel and insisting it was just a temporary separation to cool down. They were desperate to convince everyone that this was just a lover's spat, not a real divorce. They pushed the narrative that Jenny is winning back her man, and the media ate it up, speculating on when Ethan would forgive her. Then, in front of all the cameras, Ethan walked out onto the balcony and dumped a bucket of water right on her head. Soaked, Jenny didn't even get angry. She just stood there and yelled up at him, "Ethan, I know I was wrong. I never considered your feelings or made you feel secure. But I've told the whole world who you are now. Everyone knows you're my husband. I promise I'll love you and cherish you from now on. I won't ever make you angry or worried again. I know you're just mad at me. Please, just forgive me." That was the last straw for Ethan. He stormed down to the door and looked at her with a cold smile. "Jenny, do you really think that every time you say I'm sorry, I'm required to say it's okay?" Seeing her stunned face, he laid it all out. "A woman who actually loved me would have been proud of me. She would have made me feel secure. She wouldn't have treated me like a burden or dismissed my jealousy and my pain as me being unreasonable. Jenny, maybe you are sorry now, but..." He paused, his eyes turning to ice. "I've had enough of this life with you. From now on, I'm walking my own path." The paparazzi caught the whole thing, and the video was online within minutes. Public opinion exploded. A huge star like Jenny treats her own husband like that? Seriously, who acts like that when they're married? If you're married, why aren't you keeping a professional distance from your co-stars? What's with all the fake romance publicity? You're out there flirting for the cameras while your actual husband is at home. Did you ever stop to think how he felt? I used to think this Miller guy was just a drama queen, but it turns out he was the real victim. I hope he sees her for who she is and gets away from that toxic woman for good. The Richardson family spent a fortune trying to clean up the PR nightmare. They contacted us privately, offering a generous settlement for a dignified and quiet separation. Ethan and I agreed, but Olivia and Jenny refused to let it go. Jenny started showing up every other day with roses, begging Ethan for forgiveness. Olivia sent me endless iMessages, apology notes, so long they looked like term papers. The same woman who used to look down on me and coldly tell me to be rational had completely lost her mind. I rarely replied. On the rare occasion I opened one of her texts, the wall of words just gave me a headache. I finally sent back, "Doctor, we are divorced. The sooner you accept that, the better. Stop writing these novels. I'm not going to read them, so you're just wasting your time." The next time I saw Jenny was at a police station. Turns out, Ethan had started dating a college student. They were out together when his unforgettable ex-wife, the A-list star, showed up and had a complete public meltdown. Jenny had confronted Ethan and his new girlfriend, demanding an explanation and making a scene. It escalated into a huge argument. By the time I got to the station, Jenny was still clinging to Ethan's arm, refusing to let go. "I don't believe you're over me. You only found this new girl to make me jealous, to get me to come back to you." Olivia had also gotten the call and rushed over, pulling her hysterical sister away. Seeing my chance, I stepped forward and spoke calmly. "Miss Richardson, do you really think you're so irresistible that no man could ever leave you? That Ethan is required to love you and orbit around you forever? You're the one who pushed him away by taking him for granted over and over. You should be looking at yourself. Ethan is happy now. Please stop interfering in his life." Jenny had clearly been drinking. Her face was flushed. I had no idea if any of what I said was getting through to her, so I turned to Olivia. "It's amazing how some women can be so arrogant. They fool around and flirt with everyone, but still think they could just snap their fingers and their man will come running back. She's so delusional, she thinks Ethan's new girlfriend is just a ploy to win her back. Please, she needs to take a good, long look in the mirror. Even if she begged him to take her back, does she really think she deserves him? Olivia flinched, as if I had slapped her, as she lowered her head. With one hand on her sister, she whispered a deflated, "I'm sorry." The pathetic part was that as they dragged Ginny out, she was still screaming Ethan's name. After the divorces, Ethan and I went into business together and opened a boxing gym. It was something we'd always dreamed of doing, a plan we'd made long before we got married. But the Richardson family would never have allowed it. They insisted our place was at home as supportive husbands. Now that we were free, no one could tell us what to do. Ethan sighed. We never should have gotten married in the first place. We were so much happier when we were single. Why did we sign up for all that misery? If we had just stayed single, we could have been doing this all along. I couldn't agree more. For years, I had twisted myself into someone I didn't even recognize for Olivia. If I had never met her, if I had just opened this gym with my brother back then, I would have been so much happier. But at least we figured it out eventually. That miserable part of our lives is over now. Let it stay in the past. This story is a powerful reflection on escaping the prison of self-blame within a toxic relationship, where the absence of respect is more damaging than the absence of love. Its core message is one of reclamation. True healing begins when we stop asking if we are good enough for others and start questioning if they are worthy of us. Ultimately, it's a profound encouragement to find the courage to walk away, not into emptiness, but toward a future built on our own rediscovered self-worth.